Kia ora, tēnā koutou. Welcome to No Boundaries on Sky Sport, where just for a change, we've got another thrilling test match to talk about on the show this week. Joining us in a moment, we've got a special guest, a very special guest. We'll get to him very soon, but first, nice respectable lunch hour in Mumbai. Mike Hesson. Mike, particularly after what you've seen in the test matches, the last two in India, it seems like New Zealand at the moment is on some kind of mission to save test cricket. It's been quite incredible, hasn't it?
Look, it sure has. I don't think you could script two better test matches than what's unfolded, over the last fortnight. So, look, incredible from a New Zealand perspective, obviously, to show those fighting qualities that, we've seen for a good period of time now. Different players standing up, although Kane's probably the common denominator in both test matches, but plenty of other players standing up when New Zealand are under the pump. And I think that's a quality that, we should be proud of as a sporting nation. We want something... We want all our teams to be those that, even when they're on the canvas, they can try and find a way to fight their way back. And we've certainly seen that over the last two dramatic test matches. It's been exceptional watching. It'd be really interesting to hear our guests' comments in a moment.
Yeah. Well, time to introduce our special guest. Yeah, it's been great, not just for cricket, but for New Zealand sport in general. And someone who has been front and centre of these two remarkable test match victories joins us on the show now. And that's Daryl Mitchell. Daryl, firstly, congratulations. It must be great to be part of this New Zealand team at the moment.
Hi guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, I guess it's something you dream of as a little kid to represent your country and to be part of this Black Caps group at the moment with some great leaders and some great people. And personally just loving, I guess, wearing the silver fern and being able to get out in the field with these guys.
The way the whole final day unfolded after the rain, of course, intervened early on, but 28 for 1, you're chasing 285. Just tell us about the strategy, the plan as it was laid out for you at the start of the day.
Yeah, I guess we knew that, we had a fair idea that the rain was going to go away at about that 3 o'clock mark, and we knew it would be in between that sort of 40 to 55 overs target. So, for us, it was working out, I guess, plans about where we want to be at certain overs throughout the innings and try and time it so that towards the end we're in a position where we can try and chase it down as well as make sure that we've got enough wickets in hand that we can control the game. And I thought the way Kane obviously he's a genius. He balanced it perfectly and timed it to perfection, and nice to get the job done.
Yeah, I guess, as you say, you can have all the plans in the world, but you need to carry them out. And I guess the stage was really set, Mike, for another great test innings by Kane Williamson. What is it about him, his ability to manage these situations?
Oh, I think he's got an ability to change his tempo depending on what the game demands, and there are very, very few players in the world who are able to do that. So the fact that Kane enjoys being in those positions, he's obviously been in them multiple times. He knows how to get the side over the line. For me, it'd be really interesting, Daryl. I mean, often at Hagley Oval, when you get those divots in the wickets, and then it starts to quicken up a little bit, how it gets harder as the match progresses. That's kind of what it looked like from the outside. You batted on that last day with intent. Was that sort of part of your rationale in the discussions with Kane?
Yeah, I guess it was your typical Hagley wicket, and the fact that there was good pace and bounce, and I think it showed throughout the whole test match, especially when we batted on day two, that it's definitely a lot quicker and it was quite challenging at times. And for me, my job was, I guess, to come out and try and find ways to put pressure on the Sri Lankan bowlers and make sure, both with Kane, that we're able to, I guess, keep the run rate in check and make sure that it didn't get too high, that it would be in a position where we weren't able to chase at the end, with them being able to put all the fielders out in the boundary. So just making sure, we managed that run rate and made sure that we felt like we were in a position where we were in control.
Was hitting your first ball for 6 part of that plan?
There was a method to the madness. I probably won't go into it too much, but it's definitely, I guess, a way of trying to get some momentum swing and make sure that they weren't able to just bowl at us as batters. But probably was a bit rogue, and I wouldn't recommend it to every batsman walking out to try and do it.
I guess, Mike, a bit like the last one that we were talking about, the test against England, you know, so much comes down to what happens in the last day, the last hour, the last minutes, if you like. But a lot of work goes on before that to set this victory up. And you look back on the first innings, again, key moments in this test match, and the way guys are able to pitch in and do something for the team at a really vital time to, say, turn something around.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the test match has come down to not only the last session or the last hour, but even obviously the last ball, shows that why it is such a great game. And I guess when you're in the changing room and you see all the work that goes in every session, so it's not a matter of day by day, it's actually potentially hour by hour. You break it down and you've got to win a huge amount of hours to be able to be in the fight come the back end of the test match. So, the work that Matt Henry and Tim Southee did, in the first innings with the ball, when it was sort of a little bit slow and challenging, and there were some players that were set. I mean, Tim to get that wicket early on with the second new ball was critical in terms of trying to limit the damage, I guess, in terms of that first innings score. And Matt Henry just keeps running in and doing his job. So, so many different players are standing up. I mean, Tim Southee, now he's obviously gone to second top wicket taker for New Zealand. And he, thoroughly deserved. He's, as I said, he's often doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves because he doesn't bowl 145. He doesn't blow guys' heads off, but he's a workhorse and he's done such an amazing job for New Zealand over such a long period of time.
Just trying to get a sense of what it was like watching on, from the sheds for the guys. I know back in the day, one of the things that the New Zealand teams used to do was when they were chasing down a total, that there would be someone charged with ticking off the runs, like in multiples of 10. I think it was a job that Trevor Franklin was often entrusted with. Did you have anything like that going on?
No, it's pretty. Everyone's goes about it in different ways. Obviously, a lot of guys sit in the actual change rooms themselves and watch it on TV, and some guys won't move positions when we have good partnerships and stuff. But look, for us, I think we had full faith in everyone coming in that they can do a job to help us win a test match for our country. And I think, although obviously Kane scored a lot of runs and there's a partnership myself, I think the likes of Michael Bracewell coming in and getting the vital 10 runs off 10 balls, Matt Henry trying to run twos. I think those are the little things that we as a group really, that's a big part of our values of how we go about things, is those guys doing the little things that probably don't get noticed by the public, but that helps you win games of cricket. And that's the sort of stuff that we, I guess, reward as a group.
Plenty of that warrior spirit stuff too, Mike. We were talking, you talked about Henry, the problems he was having. I mean, Neil Wagner, he was broken, but still found a way to be part of the action at the end.
Oh, look, I think the thing with Neil is that, he loves being in those situations. He loves, I guess, being able to make a difference in winning games. And when the game's on the line, he certainly wants to be involved. And even just running out there, just showing that intent that he wants to come out rather than, potentially Tickner going out there. I mean, Wagner, I'd be interested in Daryl's thoughts, but I'm pretty sure Wags would have said, "Nah, I'm going out and I'm going to do the job." And that's the type of character he is.
Yeah, he was padded up pretty early from all accounts. He was ready to go, and I think he obviously, we all know Wags is the lionheart of the team, and he'll do whatever he needs to do to help get the job done. And I'm glad his hamstring held together, and he was able to get down the other end and get us that win.
Last 14...
So just talking about those little roles, sorry, Tony, little roles, Daryl, you've obviously been given a bit more of a role from a bowling perspective, without Colin de Gronholm there. In terms of doing that containing role, how are you finding that? Does that sort of feel like it brings you into the test matches more?
Yeah, for me, I love my bowling. It's something I've done at the domestic level for a period of time now. And my role within the team is, I guess, to try and restrict and build pressure and allow the big quicks to have a rest as well. So, yes, I enjoy doing that, whether it's the boring stuff of the top of off and trying to dot it up, or when Wags goes down, have to run around the wicket and bowl some bounces. I'm a competitor at heart. That's what drives me. And to be able to, I guess, get stuck in and do a job for Timmy and the team that's what gets me going every morning. And I love it.
But the thing you're mainly in the team for is your batting. Your last 14 innings, 4 centuries, 5 50s. You must feel like you're in a good spot at the moment.
Oh, look, it's a dream come true to be able to play Test cricket for our country. And yeah, I guess I'm a late bloomer to international cricket in many ways. That I had to learn my game at domestic level for a period of time, which I'm very grateful for. And yeah, very lucky to have some good days in Test cricket. I know that there'll be good days and bad days ahead, but just really proud to be part of this group and to be able to play Test cricket for our country.
But again, Mike, it's the talk of the cricketing world. I mean, the win over England, obviously that sent ripples, shockwaves all around the cricket world. It was what people were talking about again with this thing here. It's just so exciting to watch, isn't it? And I guess really important. You've watched a series in India where, India won the series, but there was all the controversy about the state of the pitch, particularly it was a BMX track by the look of it in indoor, and a rather ground-out draw in the last test. I mean, this is what cricket really needs, isn't it, what we've seen in New Zealand over the last month?
Well, I think the beauty is that, you do have to be able to perform on so many different surfaces, and New Zealand often has pitches that will always have enough pace and bounce to create opportunities sort of throughout the whole 5 days. So that's one of the beauties of playing in New Zealand. But yeah, I can assure you that just about all of India was supporting New Zealand on that last day. Came at lunchtime in the test match over here. So pretty much everyone changed channels, and I happened to be in the hotel lunchroom at the time, and the TV got changed over and pretty much every Indian supporter was backing New Zealand. So that was quite a cool environment to be a part of. Obviously, being a New Zealand supporter myself, it was nice to not be the only one for a change. So, it is what Test cricket needed, and I think that those that are involved in Test cricket love it, but it's always nice to have gentle reminders to those that potentially, look at the negatives rather than the positives to say, hey, this is the game that can spend 5 days. It can be absolutely riveting. And the finishes that we've had the last 2 test matches just draw everybody in and just remind everyone of the romance of Test cricket, which I think is great.
Well, I guess you are going to have to put it in the rear vision mirror, Daryl, because tomorrow you've got a test match starting in Wellington, the second test against Sri Lanka, and I imagine it'll be good to get back to Wellington. I mean, it's a lovely place, I guess, to play cricket. It's a famous ground, but it seems to be a ground, and you've got the memories of what happened against England still fresh in the mind.
Yeah, look, obviously the Basin's one of our great test venues, and I know us as a group, we really enjoy coming to the Basin with the banks full and a full crowd. So, for us, we've got a chance to win a test series for New Zealand over the next 5 days. But at the same time, we as a group just want to keep trying to improve, keep trying to, build on what we've been doing over the last little period. And I know we're really excited to get stuck in, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. And what's the talk in the team about, areas that you still feel like you need to work on?
Yeah, look, I think as a group we've shown over the last 2 tests especially that when our backs are against the wall that we'll fight and we'll do whatever we need to do to get back in the test match. And for us, it's, I guess, starting really well is really important to us heading into this test. But at the same time, it's different conditions. We're going to have to adapt. We're not sure, again, what bowling attack they're going to bring out. They might do some changes. So it's all about adapting as quickly as we can and making sure that, we work in little partnerships, whether it is with bat or ball, and be relentless with that.
And Mike, just important to keep that momentum going.
Oh, look, it is, but as Daryl said, I think it's about starting again, and just dealing with the first session. If you prepare yourself well and you can be in front, then that's great. But, it's about at the Basin that there will be opportunities early, whether with bat or ball. At times, it always looks green and everyone always wants to bowl, but sometimes that can be the easiest time to bat, before it starts to quicken up, which is similar to Hagley. So you got to be prepared to do both. Obviously, there's no guarantees at the toss, and try and apply some pressure to Sri Lanka. So, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm sure that the group will not be doing so. They know how tough a test match is, and Sri Lanka, clearly they were in the fight for the World Test Championship, so they're playing some pretty decent cricket at the moment as well. So looking forward to it. Yeah,
they'll be disappointed too, won't they? Because that cost them a place in the World Test Championship final. I know that New Zealand were out of contention for that, but I guess at the end of the year, you've got a lot of cricket to play, but at the end of the year, you've also got that carrot, golden pot at the end of the rainbow, if you like, of the World Cup. Is that part of the thinking at all at this stage, Daryl?
Look, obviously there's a World Cup ahead, and we all are looking forward to it. I personally struggle to look too too far ahead. I like to stay pretty present. Otherwise, yeah, the game can find ways to come back and bite you. So look, obviously looking forward to this test match, and then we do have a white ball series after this against Sri Lanka, which will be great prep for a number of guys to get back into some one-day cricket, which we haven't played a lot of over the last sort of 2 to 3 years. So yeah, look, it's a really exciting little period coming up. And yeah, there's a lot of cricket ahead, and then obviously a Pakistan tour straight after that over there in April. So yeah, it's the one-day World Cup's definitely in the back of the mind, but there's a hell of a lot of cricket to go still.
So, are you a Chiefs fan or are you Crusaders now? You're living in Christchurch.
No, I'm definitely Chiefs.
Good man.
I think my granddad would kill me if I ever ditched the red, yellow, and black. So they'll be Chiefs for life.
Just one thing before we go. Now, I was thinking about where I might have met you in the past, and I've found out when it was, and it was a very famous day, and I think it was 1993. We're going to put up the photograph of it, and there you go. The number 8, that's pretty recognisable. I don't know about the bloke he's talking to. He looks a lot different to what he looks like now. And that young fella there, you remember that day?
Yeah, I think I was about 2 years old there, and it's the old when they won the Rainfleet Shield, which is obviously a pretty special moment in our family. And I think I've even got a photo of that sitting in my grandparents' place. So it's definitely, I think I've lost a lot of hair and your hair's gone a bit greyer, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Well, listen, it's really great of you to join us. We appreciate you giving up your time because it's, supposedly a bit of downtime between tests for you. So that's awesome. Keep up the great play, you and the team, and all the best for the Basin Reserve, eh?
No worries. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks.
Go well, Des.
Of course, as mentioned, there's a test match coming up, and then after that, we're back into white ball mode with the New Zealand team. And because of the IPL, Mike, wearing a slightly different hat these days, of course, there's going to be opportunities for quite a number of new players to come into this New Zealand side. It's going to be quite a searching examination of New Zealand's depth.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I think for those that have been touring with New Zealand and potentially haven't had many opportunities, this will be the tour. They'll get played these matches in their home conditions, so they've got an opportunity to, I guess, push their case for potentially the World Cup later on in the year, but also further opportunities when it comes to the Bangladesh tour and so forth. So obviously Lister and Chad Bowes coming in for their first time in the ODI side, so a chance to potentially make a debut there. I think they're exciting. I think we saw a little bit of Lister in India, on some flat surfaces, and I think he showed enough that if he gets it right, he can challenge the best players in the world. So he's got some good defensive skills, and I'm sure he'll be put on show against the Sri Lankan lineup that, can put New Zealand under pressure from a bowling perspective. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing Chad Bowes. He has been a performer for Canterbury for many years. He's an aggressive player at the top of the order. He scores all around the wicket. He's very creative in terms of the ability to lap the ball. He's got power as well, and he's an excellent fielder. So he will provide further options for New Zealand at the top of the order in an area where they haven't nailed just yet. Finn Allen will get that opportunity in that first game, and I'm sure he'll want to grab that. But yeah, there's some players there that, as I said, have got a bit of a point to prove, and this will be an opportunity where they should get some continuity of games.
In an ideal world, that we wouldn't have this clash, would we? I don't know whether there's ever going to be an opportunity to maybe avoid these sorts of things. You talk about the silver lining, the glass half full part of it, but in some ways, though, it is a shame that some of our best players are not going to be available to play for New Zealand.
Oh, I think it's just reality, TJ. I mean, every team around the world has the same situation. I mean, England have just been in Bangladesh and they missed 5 players that were playing in the PSL. So I guess you look at things, across a year in terms of what playing opportunities you can give players. So from a New Zealand point of view, you have enough to be able to make decisions. So when you go to pinnacle events, you can pick your best team. I think gone are the days where you just roll out your best team across 3 formats. It just doesn't work. Players aren't able to do that. And from an IPL perspective, New Zealand can't compete with potentially the amount of money these guys can earn, and it stops them leaving the game early. The last thing New Zealand want are players playing for New Zealand because they can cash in at the back end of their career. So I think New Zealand have got the balance right at the moment. As I said, I think if the younger players are starting to give up contracts and therefore go and play in other leagues, then I think that's a problem that will need to be addressed. But at this stage, I think it's a pretty good balance.
Yeah, and yours is a unique perspective because you have been in both roles, and so you understand both sides of the story. The IPL Women's has been up and running. I know it hasn't been such a great time of it for your team, but how's it caught on generally? Has it been well received?
Oh, the WPL, the numbers from what I hear have been great. The crowds have been pretty good, and the cricket's been excellent. I think the pitches that the players have played on have been incredibly flat. High run scoring, and just some generally some high quality cricket. So, and I think from a WPL perspective, if you don't have bowlers that can bowl on flat wickets, then you can get exposed a little bit. So, that's what happens in the men's game as well. So I think they're certainly narrowing down in terms of the power that the women's game brings, the ability to access different parts of the park, and I think it's just a step forward really in terms of where to from now, and I think it's just going to exponentially start to improve.
It hasn't been a great series for RCB, but Sophie Devine has had a couple of good innings.
Yeah, look, Sophie's been good at the top of the order. I mean, as I said, when you're expected to score 200 plus in some occasions, it's tough, and Sophie's done a good job. She got a 60 odd off a strike rate of over 150. So look, she's played nicely. I think the thing from RCB's perspective, we haven't quite got it right from a team perspective or a bowling perspective, but that's something that we'll continue to work on, and we're not out of the tournament yet, but certainly work to do. I guess my job is across both games. So obviously trying to prepare for the IPL, which starts in a couple of weeks, and obviously the WPL as well. So yeah, trying to find that balance across those two work streams is good fun as well.
Yeah, at the other end of the WPL table, the Mumbai Indians going really well, and Amelia Kerr is going great guns.
Yeah, I mean, she's batting at 5, which is a tough ask, but as I said, I think she's played beautifully, come out and added impetus every time she's come out. So Mealy's, she's in good touch. She's playing in a side that's confident, and with the ball, I think she's getting better and better. So yeah, we obviously had a dip at her and didn't quite have enough money, so good on her.
Yeah, no, taking the wickets too. She's right up the top of the wicket-taking table. Now, what about the series between India and Australia? Did it live up to expectations? Because at the end of the day, India again have beaten Australia in a series.
Well, I think it's 4 series in a row now across, both home and away. So certainly a dominant nation. I guess in a one-off game at the World Test Championship final, that's going to be a different challenge in itself. Duke's ball, relatively early season in England at the Oval. So yeah, that's going to be a big challenge from a batting perspective from India. But they've got huge amount of talent. I mean, that spin bowling duo of Ashwin and Jadeja in Indian conditions are formidable against any side. So you add Axar Patel, who's not only a third spinner, but he averaged close to 100 during the series, and they got pretty much all bases covered in Indian conditions. As I said, the challenge now is playing in the World Test Championship and whether they can adjust. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Do you see that as being a bit of a leveller there, that maybe the Australians think this is more likely to be to our liking than playing in India?
Oh, look, without doubt, Australia will be far better positioned in England, in the UK, than they will be in India. No doubt about that. Whether it levels it up, Australia probably have a slight advantage just because of the Duke's ball and their ability to have a number of seamers that can create wicket-taking opportunities. But don't forget Siraj, Shami from a bowling perspective. Those two are pretty damn good. Yeah. I don't think Bumrah will be there, but Ishant Sharma's another one. Umesh Yadav is another one who, in those conditions, could be a handful as well. Yeah,
just the one blot on the whole landscape, though, that pitch for the third test, that just wasn't good enough, was it?
Look, it wasn't, and obviously it got rated accordingly, but I don't think anyone likes watching 2-day tests, whether that be in seaming conditions or pitches that turn, from ball one, But I think the beauty from a playing perspective is no one complained. All the players were like, hey, we get challenged all around the world in these conditions and we've just got to make it work. Whether it's rated poor or not is irrelevant, really. We've still got to try and win a test match. So I think the players took it in the right spirit, that's for sure. Yeah.
But we much prefer test matches to be decided in the last ball of the 5th day, huh?
Oh, yeah, well, that seems to be the way we'd like to operate, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right, mate, we'll leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining us, Mike, and I hope it all goes well for the rest of the WPL, and we look forward to talking to you again next time on No Boundaries.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, TJ.
Well, that's it for this week on the show. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed having Mike and Daryl Mitchell on the show with us. It was great that he was able to join us. We'll see you next time. Mā te wā.